She didn't just leave you. She unmade you. She took the man you thought you were, disassembled him piece by piece, and left the parts scattered on the floor of your own mind. You're still there, sifting through the wreckage, trying to figure out which piece was the one that made it all collapse. Was it the constant availability? The endless validation you offered like a sacrifice at her altar? The way you made her the sun and were content to be a pale, orbiting moon? You called it love. She experienced it as gravity, a weak force pulling her down, begging her to give you a center of mass that you couldn't provide for yourself. You sit there, replaying the final conversation. The words were simple, almost insultingly so. It's not working. I need space. It's not you, it's me. But you and I know that's a lie designed to pacify a child, not dismiss a man. The truth was in her eyes, in the dead calm of her voice. It wasn't anger, it wasn't sadness. It was boredom. It was the flat, emotionless stare of a superior who has just rendered a subordinate obsolete. You offered your logic, your explanations, a detailed presentation of your devotion. You laid out a case for your own worth, hoping she would act as judge and jury and grant you a stay of execution. But with every carefully crafted sentence, every plea disguised as reason, you were just digging your own grave deeper. You were a defendant arguing a case that had already been lost, because the verdict was never about the evidence. It was about the weakness of the man presenting it. The great pessimistic philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer would have recognized your plight instantly. He saw the world as the manifestation of a blind, ceaseless, striving force he called the will. A cosmic energy that animates everything, from a plant reaching for sunlight to a man desperately seeking the approval of a woman. Schopenhauer argued that true suffering arises when our individual will becomes enslaved to an object outside of itself. You didn't just love her. You tethered your entire will to live to her existence. Her validation was your oxygen. Her presence was your purpose. You weren't a complete being seeking to share your world with another. You were a vacuum seeking to be filled. And nature, in its infinite and brutal wisdom, abhors a vacuum. She didn't reject you. She was repelled by the void you presented to her. Schopenhauer stated, "A man can be himself only so long as he is alone, and if he does not love solitude, he will not love freedom, for it is only when he is alone that he is really free." You sacrificed your freedom for the illusion of connection, and in the end, you were left with neither. If this reality strikes a nerve, it's because it's the truth you've been avoiding. This is psychological dominion. Subscribe now, turn on all notifications, and press the like button to signal you are ready to stop being a victim and start being a strategist. In the comments, I want to know where this war is being fought. Tell me what city or country you're watching from, and share one single moment where you felt your power being taken from you. We'll expose these wounds not to mourn them, but to cauterize them. You think the pain you feel is heartbreak. It's not. It's withdrawal. The agony of a will that has forgotten how to function on its own. You check her social media, a digital flagellant whipping himself with images of her life continuing, accelerating, while yours has ground to a halt. Every picture of her smiling is a testament to your irrelevance. Every new tag, every comment from someone else, is a nail in the coffin of the reality you built around her. This obsession isn't a sign of your great love. It's the symptom of a deep-seated pathology. You have outsourced your sense of self, and the contract has been terminated without notice. The nice guy you tried to be wasn't a demonstration of high character. It was a negotiation tactic born of profound insecurity. You were constantly making deposits of affection, accommodation, and service, expecting a withdrawal of love and loyalty. But you failed to read the fine print. Attraction is not a transaction. It is a response to power, to self-possession, to a will that is so grounded in its own purpose that it becomes a source of heat others are drawn to. You were not a fire. You were a mirror, desperately trying to reflect her light back at her, and the moment she turned away, you went dark. This isn't about getting her back. Let's be brutally clear on that. Attempting to reclaim a woman who has dismissed you from a position of weakness is like a deposed king begging for a job as a court jester. The dynamic of power is permanently inverted. This is about something far more fundamental. This is about forging a man who cannot be unmade. It's about identifying the 9 fatal mistakes in your own operating system, the 9 critical vulnerabilities that allowed her to execute a flawless emotional demolition. These aren't just bad habits. They are deep-seated psychological errors that broadcast neediness and kill desire as surely as turning off a switch kills a light. You will learn to recognize them, dissect them, and systematically eradicate them from your being. We will re-engineer your mind, not with empty affirmations, but with the cold, hard realism of philosophers like Schopenhauer, who understood that the world is a battlefield of competing wills, and the man with the unfocused, subservient will is destined to be consumed. Till you understand why being the perfect boyfriend made her skin crawl, you are doomed to walk into the same trap again and again, with a different woman who will simply be the next architect of your collapse. The key to your prison is not in her hands. It never was. It's in understanding the flawed architecture of the prison you built for yourself. And today, we begin the demolition. Let's perform the autopsy. You believe the end was a single, catastrophic event, a final conversation, a slammed door, a text message that felt like a death sentence. You are mistaken. The death occurred long before the body was pronounced cold. It was a death by 1,000 cuts, a slow, methodical hemorrhaging of power that you were not only blind to, but actively participated in. This wasn't a sudden heart attack. It was a terminal illness you misdiagnosed as love. The process of your downfall, the strategic deconstruction of your authority, follows a predictable and pathetic pattern. It begins with the first phase, emotional concession. Do you remember the first time you canceled your plans for her? You had a commitment, something for yourself. A workout, a night with your friends, time dedicated to a project. It was a part of your world, a pillar of your sovereignty. Then she called. She was bored, or she missed you, or she just wanted to see you. The request was casual, almost insignificant, and you, believing you were being a great boyfriend, saw it as an opportunity to demonstrate your devotion. You folded. You canceled your plans. You told your friends you couldn't make it. You put your project on hold. In that moment, you thought you were scoring points. What you actually did was communicate a devastating piece of intelligence. My world can be stopped for you. Your whim is more important than my word to myself or to others. She tested. You yielded. She won. This wasn't a conscious, malicious strategy on her part. It was an instinctual probe, a test of your frame. A man's world should have its own orbit, its own gravitational pull. When you demonstrated that your orbit could be instantly perturbed by her casual desire, you showed her that your center of gravity was not within yourself, but within her. You became a satellite, and the allure of a satellite is non-existent. Schopenhauer would have seen this not as a romantic gesture, but as a profound act of self-betrayal. Your will, the fundamental driving force of your existence, was meant to be directed by your own reason and purpose. In that moment of concession, you handed the reins of your will over to her. You told her, non-verbally, you drive. And any woman, no matter how much she claims to want a nice guy, is biologically and psychologically repulsed by a man who hands her the keys to his own soul. From that first small surrender, the cancer of disrespect began to metastasize. This leads directly to the second phase, the loss of frame control. The frame is the unspoken reality of the relationship. Who sets the tone? Whose reality is stronger? In the beginning, your frame was likely intact. You had your own opinions, your own standards. Then, the first major disagreement occurred. Perhaps she did something that crossed a boundary, flirted with another man, was outrageously late without an apology, spoke to you with casual disrespect. Your masculine instinct, the healthy part of your will, recognized this as a violation. You brought it up. You attempted to hold her accountable. You presented your case with logic and reason, explaining why her behavior was unacceptable. And what did she do? She didn't engage with your logic. She counterattacked with emotion. She cried. She accused you of being controlling, of not trusting her, of being insecure. She twisted the entire scenario, making you the villain for daring to establish a boundary. And you, terrified of the emotional storm, terrified of losing her, did the one thing that guaranteed your defeat. You abandoned your frame. You started consoling her. You began apologizing for upsetting her, even though she was the one in the wrong. You said the fatal words, "I'm sorry." When you apologized for holding a standard, you signed your unconditional surrender. You communicated that your reality was less valid than her emotional reaction to it. She learned that she could shatter your frame with a simple outburst, that your principles were negotiable in the face of her tears. She tested you, and you failed. From that point on, you were no longer a partner in the relationship. You were a subordinate, constantly managing her emotional state, terrified of triggering another explosion that you had already proven you were too weak to withstand. Once your frame is broken, you enter the third, desperate phase. The quest for validation. Your self-worth is now completely outsourced. Her mood dictates your mood. Her attention is the currency you live on. This is where modern technology becomes your torture chamber. You send a text message. The 2 blue check marks appear. She has read it, but there is no reply. The minutes stretch into an hour. Your mind begins to race. What did I say wrong? Is she angry? Is she with someone else? You check her social media. She's online. She's liked someone else's photo. She's posted a story. The silence is a weapon, and it is being used against you with surgical precision. Her silence is dominance, not inattention. It is a deliberate act designed to keep you off balance, to make you crave her response, to reinforce the dynamic that she is the prize and you are the contestant. You start tailoring your behavior to elicit a response. You post things on your own social media that you think she will like, not because you genuinely want to share them, but as bait. You become a digital performer, and she is your one-woman audience. Schopenhauer saw this craving for the opinion of others as one of the greatest sources of human misery. He wrote, "What a man is in himself, what accompanies him when he is alone, is obviously more important for him than everything which he possesses in the way of reputation or reflects in the eyes of others." You did the opposite. You made her eyes the only mirror in which you could see yourself. This constant search for validation is profoundly unattractive. It reeks of neediness. It is the scent of a will that has no internal purpose, a ship with no rudder, tossed about by the waves of her approval or disapproval. You are no longer a man she can look up to. You are a puppy she has to pat on the head to keep it from whining. This pathology deepens into the 4th phase. Affective dependency. Your life outside of her begins to wither and die. Those friends you canceled on in the 1st phase, you see them less and less. Your hobbies and passions, they gather dust. You decline opportunities for growth, for travel, for new experiences, because you can't bear the thought of being away from her, or because you're afraid she won't approve. Your entire emotional ecosystem, which should be rich and diverse with friendships, purpose, and personal interests, has been clear-cut until only one tree remains, her. And now you are terrified of the slightest breeze, because if that one tree falls, you are left in a barren wasteland. This is the nice guy paradox in its most virulent form. You think that by making her your entire world, you are showing her the ultimate love. She experiences it as the ultimate burden. You have made her responsible for your happiness. You have become an emotional vampire. Your energy is now spent not on enjoying your company, but on managing your dependency. She feels suffocated, trapped by the gravity of your emptiness. She starts to pull away, to seek out space, to breathe air that isn't thick with your need for her. She longs for a man who has a world of his own that he can invite her into, not a man who wants to crawl inside her world and make a home there. Schopenhauer argued, true freedom is found in solitude, in the ability to be whole by oneself. You sacrificed that freedom for the illusion of security, and in doing so, you created the very conditions for her to flee. The final, pathetic nail in the coffin is the 5th phase, breaking the silence. You feel her slipping away. The texts are less frequent. The affection is cooler. The distance is palpable. A man with a strong, centered will would recognize these signs, pull back his own energy, and refocus it on his purpose. He would become a source of mystery again. He would create a vacuum that she might feel compelled to fill. But you, in your weakened, dependent state, do the exact opposite. You panic. You break the silence with the weakest move in the entire playbook, the "we need to talk" conversation. You confront her, not with strength, but with a plea. Is everything okay? Have I done something wrong? I feel like you're pulling away. You are literally asking your conqueror to explain her strategy of conquest. You are begging for information that will only be used to further torment you. You are handing her a script in which she gets to deliver the lines that will officially end you. This conversation is not a search for a solution. It is a ritual of surrender. You are confirming all of her worst suspicions about you. That you are insecure, that you cannot handle emotional pressure, that your well-being is entirely dependent on her, and that you have no internal strength of your own. You are demanding reassurance from the person who no longer respects you enough to give it. The conversation is a formality. The war was lost long ago, in the small, silent battles you didn't even know you were fighting. Now I can hear the objections brewing in your mind, the rationalizations of the defeated. But I was just trying to be a good, communicative boyfriend. Isn't that what women want? You have been sold a lie. Communication is not about vomiting your every fear and insecurity onto your partner. That is not communication. It is a transfer of burden. Strategic communication is about conveying strength, setting boundaries, and expressing desire from a position of self-sufficiency, not need. Women are attracted to the man whose presence is a source of calm, not a source of anxiety. You became a second job she didn't sign up for. Another objection. This sounds cold and manipulative. I just wanted to love her. Let's be brutally honest. Your love was not a pure, altruistic force. It was a transaction. Constant availability, your endless accommodations, your emotional support. It was all a covert contract. You were giving these things with the unspoken expectation of receiving security, loyalty, and affection in return. When the return on your investment stopped, you felt cheated. That is the logic of a marketplace, not the foundation of genuine attraction. True, powerful attraction is not negotiated. It is a natural response to a man who has mastered his own inner world. The strategies we are discussing are not about manipulating her. They are about ceasing to manipulate yourself with the delusion that weakness can ever be mistaken for love. It's about building a version of you that doesn't need to perform, because his very existence is a statement of power. If this cold, systematic breakdown of your failure is making you angry or uncomfortable, good. It means the poison is being drawn out. To re-engineer your mind and ensure this never happens again, you must commit to the process. Subscribe to Psychological Dominion. Activate all notifications so you are never again caught unarmed, and press the like button as a declaration that the weak man you were is now dead. In the comments, I want you to perform your own autopsy. What was the one small favor or emotional concession you made that you now recognize as the first crack in the dam of your authority? Be specific. Let's expose these patterns of failure so we can eradicate them forever. The fall was not visible. It didn't happen in a loud argument. It happened in the silence of your hesitation before saying no. It happened in the yes you said out of fear, not desire. It happened when you chose her comfort over your own self-respect. She didn't break you. She simply applied pressure to a structure that was already fundamentally flawed. You built a house of cards and were shocked when a single breath brought it down. Schopenhauer knew that the world is a relentless arena of striving wills. You entered this arena unarmed, believing it was a garden. You mistook a predator for a partner, not because she was malicious, but because your weakness invited her dominance. No one is coming to save you. Your salvation does not lie in winning her back. It lies in forging a will so strong, so grounded in its own purpose, that the validation of any single person becomes a pleasant addition, not a desperate necessity. The demolition of the old you is complete. Now, we begin to build. There is no return for the weak. There is only the construction of the new. Let this be the first principle etched into the architecture of your rebuilt mind. The man she left is a ghost. Any attempt to resurrect him will only result in a pathetic seance, begging for a past that is not only dead, but was fundamentally diseased. To wish for its return is to wish for the return of your own sickness. Your task is not recovery. It is a complete and total demolition of the flawed structure you were, followed by the forging of a new entity. This is not an emotional journey of healing. This is a cold, tactical operation of self-overthrow. We will approach this with the dispassionate precision of a special forces unit preparing for an impossible mission. The mission is you. The first command is to cut the excess. Your emotional and mental energy has been hemorrhaging, leaking out through 1,000 digital wounds. You check her profile, you look at her friends' profiles, you analyze her likes, you reread old messages. Each of these actions is an act of self-mutilation. You are willingly drinking poison and wondering why you feel sick. The cut must be absolute. This isn't about unfollowing her. This is about erasing her from your digital and physical reality. Block her friends, delete the photos, delete the conversation threads. This is not an act of anger. Anger is a connection. This is an act of strategic amputation. You are removing a gangrenous limb before it poisons the rest of your body. You do it without ceremony, without a final, dramatic message. You simply vanish. You create a void where you once stood begging for attention. Your sudden, unexplained absence is 1,000 times more powerful than any well-written paragraph of pleading or rage. A man who wants to be loved will be discarded. A man who imposes his presence will be feared. And the most powerful way to impose presence is to first create a jarring and total absence. Second command is to install silence. In the coming days or weeks, she may attempt to breach your perimeter. A text message may appear. Are you okay? Why did you block me? I was just thinking about you. Do not be deceived. This is not a signal of her remorse. This is a ping sent out into the darkness to see if the subordinate is still subordinate. She is checking if the power she held over you is still active. Your reaction is everything. Any response, angry, sad, even neutral, is a failure. A response signals that her probe was successful, that she can still summon you, that you are still orbiting her. The correct response is nothing. Your silence is the answer. Your silence is a weapon. It communicates a reality that is terrifying to a person who was used to your constant. The world no longer requires her input to function. You have moved on to missions so important that her transmissions are now just irrelevant noise. Don't reconquer. Replace with a sharper silence. Let her sit with the deafening echo of her own ignored message. Let her mind create the narrative. Is he with someone else? Did he ever even care? Has he become someone I don't recognize? Your silence forces her to confront your power, a power she never knew you had because you never used it. This leads to the third and most critical command. Control the reaction and redirect the energy. The energy you were wasting on obsession, on replaying scenarios, on digital stalking. That is your primary resource. It is the fuel for your reconstruction. You will now channel this fuel with ruthless efficiency into 4 pillars of power. First, the physical. You will go to war with your body. The gym becomes your temple and your training ground. Every drop of sweat is a purification. Every rep is an act of defiance. You are not getting in shape for her. You are forging a physical vessel that commands respect from everyone who sees it. You are building armor. Second, the financial. You will attack your work and your finances with the focus of a predator. Take on the extra project. Learn the new skill. Start the side business. Money is a tool, but the pursuit of it sharpens your mind and builds your empire. A man with resources is a man with options, and a man with options is never desperate. Third, the social. You will rebuild your alliances. You will reconnect with the friends you neglected. You will force yourself into new social situations, not to find a replacement for her, but to rebuild your own social hierarchy. Become a man of value within your tribe. Your status is not determined by one woman's approval, but by the respect of many. Fourth, the symbolic. Master a difficult skill, learn a language, read the great works of philosophy, become an expert in something complex and formidable. This builds an unshakable inner confidence, a symbolic power that radiates from you. You become a man who knows things, who can do things, who has a world inside of him that is far more interesting than any single relationship. This period of silent reconstruction is where you truly find freedom. Arthur Schopenhauer wrote, "A man can be himself only so long as he is alone, and if he does not love solitude, he will not love freedom, for it is only when he is alone that he is really free." You mistook your desperate need for her company as love. It was a prison. This new solitude, this tactical silence, is your liberation. It is in this period, free from the need for her validation, that your will ceases to be a reactive, begging force and becomes a proactive, creative one. You are not waiting for her to come back. You are building a kingdom so magnificent that her departure becomes an insignificant historical footnote. The goal is not for her to see the new you and want you back. The goal is for you to build a new you that would no longer be interested in the woman who was only attracted to your weakness. You become an absence that has weight, not a presence that begs. This is the blueprint for your resurrection. It requires discipline you have not yet shown and a coldness you did not think you possessed. To stay on this path, you need to be armed with strategy. Subscribe now to Psychological Dominion. Turn on all notifications so you are never caught off guard, and press the like button as a commitment to this new, formidable self. In the comments, I want a declaration of war. Which of the 4 pillars, physical, financial, social, or symbolic, will you attack first? Tell me what your first tactical objective is. This is not a wish list. This is your battle plan. The old you is dead. Long live the king. And so, the moment you both knew and ceased to care about arrives. It comes not as a storm, but as a quiet notification on a Tuesday afternoon. A message from a ghost. Her name appears on your screen, a name that once had the power to stop your heart, and now it barely registers. The message is a masterpiece of casual manipulation, designed to test the waters. "Hey, saw something that reminded me of you. Hope you're doing well." Probe. The reconnaissance mission sent into the silent territory you've become, searching for any sign of the old regime. She is looking for the weak man she left behind, expecting a flicker of emotion, a desperate grasp for connection, a confirmation that she still holds the key to your emotional state. She expects a reply. Eager, immediate, pathetic. And in this moment, the entire universe of your past and future pivots on your next action. The man you were would have felt a surge of adrenaline, a cocktail of hope and anxiety. His mind would have raced, crafting a dozen different replies. Should he be cool? Should he be friendly? Should he reveal how much he's accomplished? A subtle performance designed to make her regret her decision. He would have seen this as his chance, the opening for a second act. You, however, see the message for what it is. An echo from a tomb you have long since sealed. You look at her name, you read the words, and you feel nothing. Not anger, not triumph, not even the cold satisfaction of revenge. You feel the profound and unshakable peace of indifference. It is the feeling of looking at a map of a country you have no intention of ever visiting again. Your will, once a frantic dog on a leash she held, is now a sovereign power. It is no longer tethered to her validation. It is grounded in the 4 pillars you have relentlessly built, in the hardened muscle of your physique, in the growing weight of your bank account, in the loyalty of the men you call brothers, and in the quiet confidence of the knowledge you have mastered. Her message is not an opportunity. It is a distraction. It is a ghost rattling chains in a house you no longer live in. You do not reply. You do not block her again. You do not even delete the message. Simply let it sit there, a digital monument to her irrelevance. Your silence is not a tactic. It is a state of being. It is the final, deafening declaration that the game she thought she was playing has been over for a long, long time. She will wait. She will check her phone, her confidence slowly eroding with every passing hour. The power dynamic, which she so effortlessly controlled, has been inverted with a single passive action: your complete and utter disregard. Your mind, accustomed to your predictability, will begin to spin its own narratives of your new reality. He's with someone else. He's too busy. He's become so successful, he doesn't even remember me. Each possibility she imagines is more powerful than any reply you could have ever written, because it is a reality she is forced to construct in the vacuum of your absence. You haven't just ignored her. You have erased her from the equation of your life so completely that she is now forced to question her own significance. This is the nature of true emotional vengeance. It is not about inflicting pain, but about achieving a state of being where their existence no longer has the power to influence your own, for good or for ill. You did not flip the chessboard to scatter the pieces in anger. You simply stood up and walked away from the table, leaving her to play a game of one. This is the ultimate lesson Schopenhauer tried to teach. The world is a relentless manifestation of will. And true power lies not in controlling the wills of others, but in achieving absolute sovereignty over your own. You sought her respect, her love, her validation. You begged for it with your actions, your availability, your concessions. But respect is never given to those who ask for it. It is a tax levied by reality upon those who demonstrate power. And the ultimate power is absence. It is the ability to remove your energy, your focus, your very essence from a dynamic that no longer serves your purpose. You became a man who commands respect not by what he says, but by what he is unwilling to entertain. You became a man whose silence weighs more than another man's words. Your legacy is not the memory you left in her mind. Your legacy is the empire you are building in your own reality. The man she knew is dead. The man you are now would not recognize him. The man you are becoming would have no time for the woman who required his weakness to feel strong. Let her watch from the digital sidelines. Let her wonder. Let her piece together fragments of your new life from the stories of others. Her curiosity is her prison. Your purpose is your freedom. This is not a chapter of your life that is closing. This is an entirely new book, and she is not a character in it. To ensure you never fall back into the patterns of the weak, to arm yourself with the psychological weaponry needed to dominate your own reality, your path must be one of constant reinforcement. Subscribe to Psychological Dominion. Turn on all notifications, for the enemy of your progress is complacency. Hit the like button as a final salute to the man you were, and a vow to the man you are becoming. And in the comments below, answer this one question with absolute honesty. Now that you are free, what is the first brick you will lay in the foundation of your new empire? She didn't just leave you. She liberated you. The pain was the price of your freedom, and you have paid the debt in full. The day she begins to doubt the man you've become is the day you will have forgotten she ever existed.